Hello everyone, hello world, it's Kevin and Eagle Strong Voice. It's Easter Sunday, April 12th. Well, you know, it's ironic because on this day, traditionally, at least in the Christian world, it's seen as a time of rebirth. And you look around us in creation and you see life everywhere, the new buds, the joy of creation everywhere, including in our own hearts. And yet around us in the world, encased in fear, artificially concocted fear coming from a corporatocracy that wants us so divided, so distanced from each other, that we don't see the police state, the global tyranny that's being imposed on all of us. Of course, a lot of us do see it, and yet we can't take the next step into active resistance. And I want to talk about that today. Why? I have grounds for great hope right now. This is an opportunity now in the world for this entire sick corporate system to be overturned. We can turn the tables on the system. This is a moment of opportunity, not despair. I want to give you a little story about that. When I was a clergyman in Port Alberni, I began to meet a lot of the survivors of our homegrown genocide in Canada. And one of them, his name was Delmar, he told me a story when he was in the United Church-run death camp called a residential school. And he talked to a friend of his, a young woman who was on the verge of dying in despair. She had been not only starved and raped every day for years by the staff there, but she was on the body disposal crew. So she would actually bring the remains of kids, or even live newborn babies, and throw them into the furnace. And she was right on the point of despair. And yet she said to Delmar one morning, and he had tears in his eyes when he was telling me this, he said, "I go and talk to the trees every day, and they speak to me." And Delmar thought, well, maybe she's going a bit wacko, but she said, no, they sing and they speak to me. And Delmar said, "What do they say to you?" And she said, "They say, here I am life eternal." And that eternal life within all of us is stronger than all the powers of the world. That's why in the Bible they talk about nothing as strong as God. No, the kingdoms of the world are as dust and nothing in the eyes of God. Because this creation is what sustains us. It's our nature to be in this state of oneness with all, of self-assuredness and self-reliance. And that's our natural condition, which is bred out of us at a young age. But we have great grounds for hope today. Look at the situation. The corporatocracy and all these governments are exposing themselves as not only accomplices to Big Pharma, but they are all working together to impose this police state on us under the guise of a flu virus, which isn't even as lethal as a normal flu during the year. A lot of people see through that, but we think, well, you know, we just see the negative. We don't see any of the opportunity. Where people see despair, I see great opportunity. People are getting radicalized about the system. They're realizing that the people and the system have two opposite interests. And so we've got to be like that poem that Shelley wrote in 1819 after the Peterloo Massacre in England, where working people were run down and killed simply for demanding the right to vote. He wrote an amazing poem, and at the end of it says, "Rise like lions after slumber, in unvanquishable number. Shake your chains to earth like dew, which in sleep had fallen on you. Ye are many, they are few." The numbers are on our side. We can overthrow the system tomorrow if the people were enlightened and united, and that's our job. In other words, the rebirth that I was talking about, the joy, the life eternal in creation within ourselves, manifests in resistance. Our no to the present tyranny manifests as a yes to a future liberation, and a present liberation that we can enact. Resistance and rebirth, they go hand in hand. Begins with each one of us. There's three aspects to achieving that. There's a personal sovereignty, there's a political sovereignty, there's a spiritual sovereignty. The spiritual sovereignty is obvious. We are naturally born free. Those innate liberties are born in us, and we're one with creation and with one another. The illusion of separateness and distancing and division is gone. We are that one soul. And when we recover that soul, we are sovereign beings. It said, God is sovereign over all the institutions and governments of the world, all kings and all rulers, God's sovereign over. We too are sovereign when we stand in that spirit of God and in the service of God and truth and our fellow men and women. We are sovereign beings with nothing over us, no higher authority over us than our own conscience and God as we understand God to be, or not to be. The point is we are that one soul. Three aspects: political, personal, spiritual sovereignty. In the present time, we need to act. Faith without deeds is dead, as Jesus used to say. The analysis, the discussion is irrelevant unless we put it into action. So, personal sovereignty. In your own neighborhood, resist the corporatocracy, resist these quarantine measures, set up neighborhood watch committees, monitor the situation so we can protect people who are grabbed by the police, meet in your own communities, in your own neighborhoods, and in your own homes, and unite at the grassroots level. That manifests on a higher level in the political sovereignty, which we've started in Canada, the Republic of Canada. Canada separated 5 years ago, established a common law jurisdiction. We disavow and disestablish the Crown institutions, these corporate institutions. The same thing can be done in any country because common law has universal jurisdiction. It's innate, it's born within us. And finally, the spiritual sovereignty is all of that combined. It's kind of like, that poem I used to say during the sermons. I looked for God, but God I could not see. I sought for my soul, but my soul eluded me. I loved my neighbor, and I found all three. And that's our message for today, folks. One of the messages. Now, on April 15th, we're going to activate this campaign of active resistance, a non-cooperation campaign, just like Gandhi used to talk about doing, non-violent, non-cooperation with the system, as of April 15th. Now, that's an appropriate date because 15 years ago, that's the date that we launched the Aboriginal Holocaust Awareness Day in Canada that forced out this truth of genocide. 15 years ago, and that culminated in us moving mountains and forcing popes to resign, in forcing his fellow criminal cardinals to resign, 4 of them in total, and forcing Canada to admit genocide. That was done by a few dozen of us because we stood in our own power. You can do it too. April 15th, the campaign of active resistance begins. Write to us, republicofcanada@gmail.com. Listen every Sunday, 3 p.m. Pacific time at bbsradio.com/Here We Stand for the voice of the Republic and the resistance. Finally, people, this system is coming down. I see great hope, but we're facing incredible odds and incredible dangers and risks. The agenda is to turn all of us into components of a corporate machine. That's the way these corporate oligarchs like Mr. Gates and all the billionaire oligarchs who work with them, that's how they see us, as things to be used. We're not going to be part of the corporate machine. We're going to keep our sovereignty as human beings. So we have to unite all the more now. If you're listening to this and watching this, it's up to you. Follow our work, republicofcanada@gmail.com, murderbydecree.com under ITCCS updates. Write to us. Join the Republic movement to take back all that is being taken from us, all that we have allowed to slip away in our ignorance, in our sleep. You are the revolution. You are the resistance. This is Kevin Annett, Eagle Strong Voice. Stay tuned for more soon.